everyone to a walk around of my spring snow check. This is a 2024 Expedition Extreme with the 900 Ace Turbo R. So this is 180 horsepower of do anything, go anywhere. Now I did spring check this sled, and I did initially order it as an 850 not 850 turbo. Now that would be Skidoo 850 turbo. Now, I did initially order this as an 852 stroke, and I changed my mind after going and riding through Canada for the first time. Last year was my first year riding snowmobile. On trails, I'd ridden them around, locally, not ever on a trail. My first time ever riding on a trail, I drove up north, unloaded the sled, and when you're first learning how to ride, the unloading and loading part is kind of scary. I literally unloaded the sled. It was probably 7 o'clock at night, so it was dark. I went out and rode about 23 miles, I think it was, and I was shaking in my boots. I had so much to learn, it was ridiculous. And I did learn, let me tell you. So this is kind of a special sled. This does have our RAS-X front suspension, and then this has the unique rear sort of utility performance skid frame on it. And this is a 154, but it is an articulated rail, so I'm told that it handles quite well. I'm told that it handles pretty comparably to a 137 trail sled. And that is what I'm hoping for. Now, I ordered this sled because I wanted to have something that did it all. I had hoped, I had really tried, and a couple things fell through. I was really hoping to get a cabin up in the UP this year to have a home base to stay at. One place offer wasn't accepted. Other place, someone got it before I could make an offer. Kind of is what it is, and I think it was the right thing to do. Though in the back of my mind, I really think that real estate is going to keep going up. There's always a chance that we might have a slight downturn, or at least a pause where I'm not really losing anything by waiting longer to see what more comes up in the UP. I'd really like to have a home base. And it's to do the things that this sled is really going to be great at. My understanding is that this is going to be, now I haven't written it, so you're watching a review of why I really bought this sled. I cannot wait to make lots of video using this sled. Stay tuned, subscribe. We are going to be having some fun this wintertime, and I'm going to tell you what to expect that I'm going to do with this. I have ice fished before. When I was younger, I'm a bigger guy, so my buddies were joking with me, go check the ice. So I stepped off the dock to go walk, and I fell through the ice. That was when I was a lot younger, a lot dumber, and and I got cold. I fished the whole day. I don't know how cold it was, but it was clearly below freezing. The ice just wasn't thick enough. I fell through. I got really cold. I've actually had hypothermia while sailing. I'm pretty sure I had hypothermia in this situation. I got home. I was really cold. And this was New Year's Eve. My buddies all went to a party, left me at home shivering my guts off. And so have had a little bit of experience with ice fishing. I would like to do more ice fishing, especially when I go to Canada. We were driving through the Magpie Reservoir area, and my God, everyone was out ice fishing. And they all looked like they were having so much fun. We stopped and talked to a couple guys when we were driving up to get to Duberville, and everyone was just so nice. The Canadians are just really fine people in terms of friendliness, very giving people. I had a lot of fun in Canada, and a lot of the reason I got this sled was because of going on long trips like that. This sled has 20-inch wide track, and it's a 1.8 lug, which is pretty freaking feisty. If I could do it all over again, I wish my Enduro had more track. I wish they made, now I know you can get a 1.5 ice ripper, and that's what I wish I had. I have a 1.25 ice ripper, and when you get into deep snow, it just doesn't do as a bigger guy. Now, I'm sure if you weighed 125 pounds dry or wet and you were a good rider, I'm sure you could run your wheels off me. A good rider my size, I don't have a lot of deep snow experience. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I would like to learn a little bit about riding deep snow because I'm kind of scared of it. I consider myself quite capable on a trail. I understand vehicle dynamics. I'm a good quad rider. It transferred very quickly to a snowmobile, and I consider myself to be fairly good on a sled. On a trail, but deep snow is not something that I'm particularly comfortable with. So I'm hoping to get a little better. Now, getting back to what I was saying before, I ordered the 850 two-stroke when I first ordered the sled. And I ordered the sled specifically for long-distance trail rides, especially while traveling. we went through a good bit of oil, and it's not a big, I mean, I went with a guy, he had a backcountry X and with an 850, and me and him went through about $600 of oil. Now, we came home with extra, we didn't use all 600 of it, but between what I brought and what I bought and he bought, and what he brought initially, we just shared oil. We didn't really keep track of who, we just topped each other off. When I had a jug I hadn't finished, I walked over and dumped it in his sled, and, you know, whatever. It's pissant. But we went through a good bit of oil because we were riding hard. We were really, really, really enjoying ourselves and having a good time. The other guy that was with us had almost a twin sled to my Enduro Renegade, but his was a 900 turbo, not ours, 150 horse. And he went everywhere we went. He went through deep snow better than I did because him and the other guy I went with, they've been to Wyoming, and they're very accomplished mountain riders. They're older guys, but they are very accomplished, both snowmobiles. I learned a lot riding behind these guys on the trail. I learned a lot about riding. But they're both very competent when it comes to mountain riding and deep snow riding, getting unstuck. They're very, very competent. I learned a lot from them. He did very well with his 900 Turbo R. 900 Turbo. I rode his sled, and I was not a fan of the throttle on it. I am much more in the 5 feet that I've ridden this to back it off the trailer. This throttle, the new throttle with the cable actuated throttle just feels a lot better. This should work out really well for me. But the reason why I ordered this sled instead of getting any other 900 Turbo R sled is a couple things. Let me back up. I'm still learning how to be a good YouTuber. Just hear me out for a minute. I had initially ordered the 850, called my dealer and asked him to change it to a 900R. My reasonings were pretty simple. No oil to bring. Extremely good low-speed performance when you have a rider or another rider on the back. You can feel when this thing is in low gear, just pulling it off the trailer. This motor has tons of torque. It's really happy down the low. Not that there would be anything wrong with an 850, but I'm really planning on using this not as a mountain sled, but as a deep snow, cross-country, go anywhere, do anything kind of sled. And I really think that the 4-stroke Turbo R setup on this is going to be, I really think it's going to rock. Now, I am a 2-stroke lover, I'm not going to lie, but I wanted to see, I'm someone who likes to see the flip side of the coin and understand a little bit. People like 4-strokes. People like turbo 4-strokes. There's a reason for it, and I'm sure I'm going to learn what that reason is. And that doesn't mean I don't like 2-strokes. This sled would be wicked, stupid, crazy fun with an 850 2-stroke. Be wicked, stupid, crazy fun with an 850 turbo 2-stroke. Skidoo, please. But I think, and also stay tuned. You just heard me initially start it up. Coming off the trailer, I will do another exhaust clip. So if you stay tuned to the end, you'll get even more exhaust, which it does sound very, very good. Trying to get better at getting the turbo to flutter a little bit, like Luke from Snow Tracks is good at doing. Not that I guess it probably takes a lot of skill. This sled doesn't seem to bark like the sled that he was. Maybe this has a different muffler on it because it's made to be more of a, not necessarily a work sled, but a utility or a capable sled. Now, the biggest reason I got this sled as a whole, not regarding 850 or 900 Turbo R power, is this. The back seat hooks right here. I have ordered it. I don't have it yet. It is coming. It is only, we're still before Thanksgiving. That is probably the biggest reason I chose to get this sled. Now, because of the big long track and the big wide track, you have tons of room back here, and I did order the box. Don't have that yet. You do get a storage box in here. This is an extra trailer hitch should I want to use this one, a J-hook one. I'm not sure I'm going to need that. But you do have your battery compartment in here, and you could put, if you were going for a long distance ride and you didn't want to have anything on the back here, maybe you just wanted to have a fuel can back here, you could easily put, you know, a couple pairs of underwear, a couple pairs of socks, your shaving kit right in here, and you'd be good to go for a long distance, like a big long ride, like we did, 4 days, just under 1,000 miles. American miles. So that's held down really well. And you have these big metal bars right here, actually, where your back seat is secured. So I mostly got this for the back seat capability, and I promise when I get it, I'll make another video showing how slick it is. I think it's going to rock. That is probably, that was the reason I first was really looking at this, was a well-designed, easy to remove. My understanding is the seat clips on and comes right off, and then if you have a heated seat and heated grips, you just unplug little plugs that'll run through here, and you'll be good. The other reason that I got this sled specifically was the wide track for flotation, and if I was going to get a second sled, I wanted one that was going to be better in deep snow, and obviously this track is pretty mean. Now, that's going to look even meaner with 108 stud boy 1.875 studs, which are coming soon. So, like I said, RASX front suspension, which is the same front suspension system that I have on my sled. However, this is a different set of KYBs. They have a little bit different adjuster. This is a threaded adjuster, so that'll be kind of fun. We'll see how we can tune these in. I'm sure we'll crank them up a little bit to get a little more seat pressure. Now, the other reason, I would say there's probably 3 big reasons. We'll get to the third one in a minute. Here's number 2. Number 2 reason I wanted to get this sled. This sled is intercooled, of course, because it is a Turbo R, and therefore it's intercooled. But this sled also has a second radiator. So this has, as far as I understand, a fan and another radiator, which helps keep it cool if you were going to go out and play on the ice, if you did get to a situation where you had low snow, if you were in a situation where you're crawling around, and this is going to tie into point 3, but if you were taking a little back trail, you weren't going super quick, you weren't throwing a bunch of snow, it's going to stay cooler, better. My understanding is it works super well. Now here's point number 3. Just as the name implies, the Expedition Extreme, I plan on exploring. This is a high-low transmission that also has neutral, which is really cool. So if you had a winch on this and you wanted to, you know, spin her up to keep the battery, throw some power in the battery, you could do that. Or if you had some other accessory where you needed to run the power, for instance, or I guess I'm not really sure what other application it might have. I think the biggest thing would be to leave it in neutral so you could have some power generation. I think that's probably your biggest reason to have that. That was number 3. This thing in low, obviously I'd love to ride one of these that has an 850. I'm sure it's really fun too. This thing in low, just pulling off the trailer, you can feel how much that high-low transmission helps you. My theory is, and I could be proven wrong. Now, obviously this thing does weigh a little bit more. I think it weighs getting closer to 650 pounds. You know, so probably 20, 30 pounds heavier at least than, a Renegade or something like that. I'd be happy to check the spec. I thought it was around 650 pounds. Even if it was 675, you're only talking a small amount, and I think that what you're getting with this, as long as it all works well, which I imagine it will, bigger track, longer lugs, wider track, high-low transmission, and it's a 4-stroke, so you have obviously your 4-stroke weight penalty, which I think that everybody knows about now. This should allow us, we'd like to do a little bit of, ride around, bring a camera, do some photography, that kind of thing. I don't pretend to be a great photographer, but obviously in my line of work, we do a lot of photographing of wrecked vehicles, roadways, sight lines, all that good stuff. So photography is kind of a big part of what I do anyway. And my better half is also very interested in photography. So from what I can tell, this appears to be your where you're shifting. See? So chain case looks very similar to what you normally would see in one of these Gen 4 sleds, but then you have the added ability to shift into high and low, and I quite like that. Now this, unlike the Renegade that I have, the Enduro, does not have an air pump in here, so we don't have air suspension. Now, I have already said, this is a Gen 4. I mean, I think the easiest way to tell is right here. Kind of can't miss the Gen 4 frontal architecture, and I like it. I gotta tell you, I'm not a huge Gen 5 fan. I'm not saying that to dog on anybody. It's just not my thing. The other thing is I quite like the switchgear that comes on a Gen 4. I think that this makes a lot of sense. For my thumb length, everything is in the area. This fits really well to my finger instead of having a normal button. I really like that. Now this has an electronic engaged reverse. So you click that button when the engine is running and it'll shift into reverse. So you're gonna shut it on and off with this. So your kill switch, that's how you kill it. You're not killing it with this button. You're starting with this button, then you're using it to go into reverse. Here's your brights. Again, super ergonomic. Everything here is within close reach. This does have the older brake style, but it does look bigger than my... When we get the Enduro back here, we're gonna have to compare it. That looks like a bigger brake. Man, that thing looks huge. We're gonna check that. I feel like that brake's bigger. So this appears to have a very similar mash cylinder setup to my regular Gen 4. These were the factory handguards, and they are, not gonna lie, are pretty floppy, but I think that that's for a reason, so they don't get damaged if you're side hilling or you get this thing into some pines or something where you're doing some general off-roading fun. The riding position is very similar to I guess any other Gen 4. Feels just like my sled. Now it does feel a little bit wider, but I'm 6'2", I'm the bigger guy, so honestly this feels great to me. I don't think there's gonna be any trouble. This is the factory windshield. This I think is called, I think it's the mid rise or something. Don't quote me on that. Could be the low too. It certainly isn't tall. This is smaller, I think, than my Renegade one, which was also the factory windshield. But the Crossover Ace series. We'll have to read the operator's manual tonight. Good stuff. So this is the extended glove box for the sled, and I like to have my Garmin Overlander that I have set up with maps that I showed you guys before. And this will work too. And we're waiting on a part to put the charging setup back into here. So this will be all set up to charge the unit, which I think you need to have, because from what I could tell, when you're actually running a map on your Garmin Overlander, it drains the power very, very fast. So I think that that is 100% totally required. There's no way I don't think you can get around that. I really like the setup because there's enough room to put a second set of gloves, second set of socks. And I also put in here my charging cable for my phone, which you could use the USB port in there, which you're charging your Garmin with, but you probably want to keep charging your Garmin because, like I said, they drain super fast when you're running, especially when they're navigating. But you can keep your cell phone in there. I usually kept a winter hat in here, so when I stopped, if it was going to be for more than a couple minutes, I would take my helmet off, set it aside. Usually I'd set the helmet in here, and I would take out a beanie, because I like to wear winter hat beanies. You know what I'm talking about, the beanie hats. I like them. I like those hats, and I keep one in here so that when I take my helmet off and it's cold, I can immediately put a beanie hat on, and I have an extra set of gloves in here should my hands get wet. This sled does have a pretty big riser, but it is in a very comfortable position. And one of the things I did note with my Enduro is that that riser almost seemed a little bit short for my long arms, especially when I stood up. I think this is gonna be great for stand-up riding, which I don't do a lot, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I like to ride this like a dirt bike, where I get my butt just a smidgen above the seat, and then I can let my butt in the seat go like this. That's how I like to ride it. I don't really like to stand up too high. I carry all my weight, or a lot of my weight, up high. So when I stand up, I feel very uncomfortable. I like to be sitting down low, butt off the seat, legs bent in kind of like a 90-degree or whatever angle. That's how I like to ride when it's rough stuff, and then I sit and let the suspension do the work for the rest. We do have a mountain handle. Maybe I'll use that. But nonetheless, it is here. So you're kind of looking at normal stuff. Now, I think the biggest thing about this would be its appearance. This blue color is, I think it's the first time they've used this Neo Mint blue. I really like it. It is pretty cool looking. I'm generally a pretty laid back guy when I don't really like a lot of flash. I mean, I wear Carhartt hoodies everywhere, guys. I'm not a very flashy person. I like the orange a lot, and I like the Neo Mint a lot. Where my Enduro is much more quiet looking and more mature looking. I love how this sled looks really immature. I love it. So I think we've come to a point after this long. I think it's time to fire it up. I do have it in neutral so that you guys can hear a little bit of RPM. So we will go ahead and fire it up. This is kind of my walk around. We will do more, trust me. But I wanted to give you guys a first video today. Let's hear what she sounds like. So we are neutral, and obviously it's not going to go flying away. It's not going to move when you're in idle. But one thing I noticed, you got to hold it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to see more about the Expedition Extreme, please like, please subscribe. You can stick around and come back and watch another video. I'm going to try and keep improving the quality of the video. I know my hand has moved a little bit. I've been trying to keep it as steady as I can. I'm kind of a realistic kind of guy in terms of I kind of like to just bring the phone with me and show what I'm doing. And I try to keep it as steady as I can for you guys, and I'm sorry if it's not perfect. I would like to get to a point where we're doing more with a tripod, and I'm going to try and do a little bit more video editing to make things more interesting and less raw, but I do kind of like the raw, this is how things are appearance in my videos. I don't know, just kind of more, I'm not a very flashy guy. I kind of like things the way they really are. So here's the sled. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys watching my videos. Have a great day. And happy Thanksgiving. Have fun, guys. Don't eat too much turkey.